You know, one thing I don't understand about these hyped up shows that they like to have, whether it's the Raw after Mania or tonight's Superstar Shakeup or whatever other show that they have where they hype it up for Raw or SmackDown, is they put like no effort whatsoever into making these shows feel any different than your ordinary boring weekly episode of Raw. Nothing tonight was really all that exciting. So if you didn't watch Raw, honestly, you really didn't miss. You missed nothing. You missed absolutely nothing. This show was boring, unexciting, and illogical as always. So, I mean, I really at this point, why we expect anything different from a Monday Night Raw is beyond me. I mean, I know we all still watch in hopes that something fun happens or something of change comes, but the more the things change on this show, the more they stay the same. And what do I mean by that? You can have all these different superstars coming over, whether they're from NXT getting called up, or they're coming over from SmackDown to Raw, or Raw to SmackDown, or whatever have you. No matter how many times you do this, it's going to be the same, because the booking and the creative is not going to change as long as Vince McMahon is in control. And boy, was Vince McMahon's fingerprints all over this fucking show tonight. Absolutely just ridiculous. And there's some things that just pissed me off to no end, and one of them happens pretty early in the show. So without further ado, let's just get into this review. Raw starts as usual when it comes to a show like this with Stephanie McMahon. She annoyingly announces or welcomes us to Monday Night Raw like only she can. She then introduces her brother Shane as the best in the world. He comes out, blah blah blah. He comes out, and now that he's on Raw, he looks to Mike Rome, who's the ring announcer for Raw, and tells Mike Rome to introduce him properly, much like he does to Greg Hamilton on SmackDown. Mike Rome and Greg Hamilton, by the way, I've said this before, and I'm going to keep saying it as long as Shane McMahon keeps making them do this shit. They are absolutely two of the best ring announcers that we have had since old Howard Finkel used to do it back in the day. And who I hope, by the way, is doing better since the last we've heard of him, where he wasn't doing so well as far as his health. So get well soon, Fink, and hopefully, we'll see you again on television. Anyway, Shane says some shit in French. The crowd boos. I don't really care. I'm sure he was saying that he's the best in the world. That's what I got from it anyway. I'm pretty sure it was told to us what he was saying by the announcers. I really wasn't paying attention. He's then granted by a "You suck" chant. And Stephanie, of course, says Kurt Angle had his last match at WrestleMania, so there's no reason for it, blah, blah, blah. I'm already uninterested in this show just by both McMahons being in the ring. I don't get excited for any McMahon, honestly, anymore on TV, and that includes Vince most of the time. Sometimes when he comes out, you think something big's going to happen, but then really it doesn't. So the McMahons being on television really doesn't do anything for me. Anyway, and by the way, as far as the shakeup goes, like the way they did it tonight, I'm not really a fan of it. I prefer something more of like a draft, like a real draft, and I don't mean that weird shit that they did in like 2008, 2009, where they would have a Raw guy go up against a SmackDown guy, and then whoever won that would just get a random draft pick, where they'd have something come up on the screen that would just randomly choose somebody. That was pretty lame. But it is what it is, man. Shane then has the production truck put up some highlights of him beating up The Miz and his dad, as usual. He calls Miz's dad a Muppet, which kind of made me laugh, I'm not going to lie. His little insults toward Miz's dad are actually pretty funny. Then the Miz's music hits. He attacks Shane from behind. They brawl to the outside. Shane starts doing his awful punches, which Corey Graves calls them punches and bunches, which again, that kind of made me laugh too. That was actually pretty funny. Miz then blasts Shane in the back with the chair. Shane then scurries away in retreat, and that was pretty much the end of this. And as this segment ends, we see the Miz, and he's bleeding from the left side of his head, and it's just dripping down his face and everything, which the commentators make no comment on for some reason. They just totally ignored that the Miz was bleeding, which is quite strange. So Miz apparently is our first superstar who is switching brands. This then transitions into highlights from Rollins' Mania match, and this is followed by a graphic of a six-man tag that nobody asked for but we're all going to get anyway. Just like every week, we get a fucking 6-man tag, an 8-man tag, a regular tag, a tag this, a tag that. Tag me out. I'm so fucking burnt out on tag team matches consistently on Raw and SmackDown that aren't involved in, you know, someone, you know, rising up in the ranks for the tag team titles. I'm fucking over it. I don't mind if they do it sometimes, but seriously, man, it's every single week. You see a tag match, a 6-man or an 8-man, or sometimes 10-man, or like we got a couple weeks ago, an 18-person intergender tag match. Seriously, enough with the fucking multi-man tag matches. It's fucking just uncreative booking. Seriously, it's the same shit every week. And if you think I'm lying, just go back and watch every Raw from like the last like 4 years. Believe me, you're gonna see a plethora of fucking multi-man tag matches, especially in the main event. It's fucking disgusting. Anyway, so the 6-man tag that we're told is gonna happen is Rollins, Reigns, and a mystery partner, which I already kind of knew who it was, versus Corbin McIntyre and Trashley. And I don't know what the fuck kind of shakeup is, or what the fuck kind of shakeup this is with this tag team match of McIntyre already going back to teaming with McIntyre and Trashley, hopefully for the last time. And apparently Bobby Lashley wants his release, and I don't blame him. And believe me, I want you gone just as much as you want to be gone, because you are boring as hell. Like I said, we already saw this shit with the Shield in full with Dean Ambrose. We don't need to see it now, especially with a mystery partner. I wasn't excited to find out who the mystery partner was. I really wasn't, because these shows are they're fucking boring, man. Anyway, Ricochet's out next. I don't know if he's part of Raw. I guess he is, and I'd be fine with that. I really would. I think Ricochet on Raw would be fine. What I'm not fine with is that Aleister Black appears to possibly also be on Raw, because these guys are obviously still a tag team. But in my opinion, these guys should be in the mid-card scene with Ricochet on Raw, Aleister Black on SmackDown, both fighting for their, you know, respective mid-card titles, or at least rising up the ranks to get a title match. But, I mean, they failed 3 times in 1 week during WrestleMania week to capture 3 different tag belts that the company has to offer. The NXT, SmackDown, and Raw. They failed in all 3 of those matches. So, this little experiment with their tag team just needs to end. Ricochet still has this stupid, unnecessary sound effect when he takes off his hood during his entrance. Aleister Black still has his sound effect that is not needed, and obviously last week it failed and it looked retarded, but apparently it's not going anywhere, so we still got it. But seriously, who wouldn't rather see these guys competing on their separate brands, fighting for the IS or the IC and US titles? Seriously, who wouldn't rather see that than them become a team and fight for irrelevant tag team championships on Raw? Anyway, apparently they're teaming with Hawkins and Ryder for, you guessed it, an 8-man tag team match. So you got these two teams taking on who the fuck did they even take on? We'll get that in a minute. I have something else written here that was pissing me off. Hawkins and Ryder, by the way, who are the tag team champions, got a jobber's entrance, just like the Revival did when they were champions. So obviously, the tag team championships mean absolutely nothing on this show, or in the company for that matter. Maybe on NXT they mean something, obviously, but on the main roster, not really. SmackDown, barely. Raw, forget about it. So they're taking on the team of the Revival and the Viking Experience. The Viking Experience. You know, those guys who are NXT Tag Team Champions, who are better known as the War Raiders. Yeah, those guys. Now they're known as the Viking Experience. And they were also, by the way, not only did they have their names changed for unknown reasons, but they were visibly missing their NXT Tag Team Championships. So, and they weren't introduced as NXT Tag Team Champions either. The commentary made mention of it, that they were NXT Tag Team Champions, but they weren't introduced to the live audience as NXT Tag Team Champions, and they were also introduced with their stupid new name of the Viking Experience. Seriously, you couldn't come up with something better than that if you're going to change it. First of all, they don't need their names changed. The War Raiders is perfectly fine. It fits them perfectly. The Viking Experience just sounds like a fucking a gimmicky fucking like restaurant you'd see in, like, I don't even know, New York City or something. or whatever. I don't know what the fuck this name is. The Viking Experience is the lamest thing I've heard in quite some time as far as a tag team name, especially when you're taking it away from a tag team who already had actually a cool name in the War Raiders. So seriously, I really don't know what to say about this, man. They're constantly changing names for no good reason. So if anybody can give me any good reason why their names are changed, please tell me. The Viking Experience, I mean, the Viking Express would have been better than the Viking Experience. Really, dude? I don't know, man. I can't get over it. It was bothering me throughout the whole night, this fucking lame-ass name change. And I don't know what this means. Like, are they on Monday Night Raw now? Because apparently, throughout the night, the commentary had no idea what the fuck was going on. They didn't know if these people were on Raw or they weren't. The only people, we got a few people who we were told were officially on Raw, and we'll get to that when we get there, but most of these people, we had no idea if they're just there for the night or if they're part of the Monday Night Raw roster. And the War Raiders, which I'm going to keep calling them by, or one of these people who were not mentioned, whether or not they're a mainstay on Raw or not, I have no idea. If they're not, then what the fuck were they even there for? Man, I really just, I don't know, man. I really don't fucking know. Totally fucking lost place of where I was here. Give me a second here. Anyway, we're gonna, this match really, it wasn't really anything as far as exciting goes. I mean, there was a couple of spots here and there that were, you know, cool, but nothing out of the ordinary. And it just goes to show you that everybody that they call up from NXT, in some way, they just find a way to just ruin them or make them feel not special right off the bat. They had to change Ricochet's entrance without the lasers and the fucking stupid sound effect. Aleister Black with the stupid sound effect. You know, who else? Fucking Andrade changing his name. You know, I don't understand this shit. I really fucking don't, man. But yeah, it is. I guess it is what it is, man. Me complaining is probably not going to change anything, obviously. But hey, you know what? I'm going to keep complaining anyway because this show needs to be called out on its bullshit. So it is what it is, man. And during this match, by the way, Cole, he asked multiple times if Black and Ricochet are part of Raw, but nobody knows. So this is the shit that pisses me off. Like, you have this show that's supposed to be a shakeup where people are switching brands, and then the commentary team, who's supposed to tell us what's going on and tell us a story, and they can't do either. They can't tell us a story when the people are fighting in the ring, and they can't tell us who the fuck is a part of Monday Night Raw or who's not. So what is the point of this? If anything needs a shakeup, it's the commentary team. Jesus Christ, Michael Cole has overstayed his welcome since the first day he replaced JR. He really just has never fit into the Monday Night Raw or Monday Night Raw role, and he needs to just either go away for good, which would be the better of the two choices, or just go back to SmackDown. Seriously, I mean, I can't take him anymore. He's awful at what he does, and I don't want to hear his voice anymore, especially calling the new guys. He just doesn't fit in with the new, you know, plethora of talent coming in. He really doesn't. Anyway, I don't know what happened. Did anything happen in this match that I wrote down here that was of any importance? No, not really. I mean, Hawkins took most of the majority of offense from the heels, though I really wouldn't call War Raiders heels, even though they were tagging with the Revival. I don't know. Ryder gets a hot tag in this match. You know, shit starts breaking down. Ricochet goes for a moonsault on the outside onto Wilder, but Wilder's out of position, so he botches that spot, and it looks retarded. The best part of this match is the fact that the NXT champions, though they were missing their belts, defeated the Raw champs by pinning Zack Ryder in this match. The superior tag champions won. NXT's tag champions are always going to be superior for the most part to anything on the main roster, unless the Usos are holding them, or in this case the Hardy Boys as well on SmackDown. But that was the only good thing about this match, was that the War Raiders actually got the pinfall in this match. Well, like I said, they got this stupid name change, and nobody is going to convince me that they needed to change their names, and nobody's probably going to give me a reason as why they changed their names. We just got to deal with it because it is what it is. And it might sound like I'm complaining a lot every week, but like, seriously, am I wrong? Am I wrong for what I complain about? Because this shit doesn't make any sense half the damn time. So, I mean, I don't know. They do stupid shit like this, I'm gonna complain. We then get a video package highlighting some stuff from Cedric Alexander, who's apparently coming to Raw. I'm fine with this, really I am. That's good, you know, some fresh talent, maybe some fresh matchups. Though Raw still sucks, and they're probably going to kill him anyway after like 2 weeks. But, I mean, the whole 205 Live roster should be on Raw. I mean, wasn't Stephanie bragging in the original 2016 draft about how they had the Cruiserweights exclusive to their show? I mean, what did that last? A whole, like, 2-3 months before they were given 2-minute matches, and then they just completely vanished off of Monday Night Raw for good? So, what the fuck was the point of that? Boy, would the Cruiserweights and a nice Cruiserweight match to open up Monday Night Raw be a breath of fucking fresh air to this overly boring show with the same fucking promos every week. Ah, God, dude. Anyway. After this, we get Finn Balor and Kevin Dunn's obsession with panning over Balor's crotch area as he's making his entrance and he's standing on the apron. We can get rid of that, Kevin Dunn, really. We don't need that. You know, pan the camera up a little bit where it's just like at his waist and above. We don't need to see his crotch all up in the fucking on the TVs with the high definition. We really don't need to see all that. So yeah, anyway, so he's apparently in a match with a guy who's making his Raw debut, and Finn Balor's a guy who, honestly, I have just lost all my interest. I have no interest in this guy whatsoever. He's done nothing since coming back from injury, all the way back in like 2017, and I don't know, he hasn't done shit, and I don't know who the hell would be excited. If him coming out as a demon at WrestleMania to crickets didn't prove that to you, I don't know what will. Anyway, moving on. His mystery opponent is a debuting Andrade Cien Almas. A guy, you know, who honestly has all the tools to be a fantastic, at least mid-card talent right now. So we'll see where it goes. You know, I don't know. I just hope that this guy isn't buried within 2 months, which I can see them doing because it's WWE, but at the same time, they're also looking for a Latin superstar to appeal to the Latin audience, so maybe that'll help him in the long run, but we'll see. I mean, the guy's talented as hell. He doesn't need to be Latin to be pushed. I mean, the guy's already fantastic in the ring. Yeah, he doesn't speak that good of English, but oh, fuck it, man. Give him English lessons. What do you want me to tell you? That's what he's got Zelina Vega for, isn't it? Anyway, so Andrade comes out with Zelina Vega, and I don't know if this means now that we're going to get Charlotte on her way back to Raw, and I would guess that this probably means Aleister Black's going to be on Raw, because Black is obviously with Vega and Andrade's with Charlotte. So, I mean, unless they're going to split up couples and married couples, because, I mean, you know, at the same time, I wouldn't doubt WWE doing that, because they like to spite people sometimes. But if this guy isn't IC champion by SummerSlam, then they're doing it all wrong, because I feel like putting the IC title on him with his gimmick and everything would actually bring a little bit of prestige to the belt. You know, Finn Balor's doing nothing for it. I'm not excited for it. Finn Balor's boring, dude. I'm sorry. I'm just going to tell you right now. The dude is boring. He used to be cool in NXT, but my God, he has just fallen down several rungs of the ladder as far as entertainment goes. Vega cuts a promo with her coming down. I didn't really retain anything from it, aside from her just like speaking in French for a little bit, and then she gives Almas the mic, and he starts yelling in Spanish, which is really all he needs to do sometimes. I don't understand what he's saying, but I also don't care because it works for him. Kind of like Asuka when she yells in Japanese. You know, I wouldn't have him do it every week, or have him do it as long as he did tonight, because he went on for like 2-3 minutes. But it did what it needed to do, and it is what it is. Cole then asks the rest of the commentary team, like Graves, asking him what a move to Raw means for a guy like Almas, and in my honest opinion, it probably means disaster, just like everybody else that goes to Monday Night Raw. I mean, if you're not a part of the selected few, it means disaster. It means just awful booking, terrible storylines, and irrelevancy to your career. Anyway, this match, you know, it was decent. And going back real quick to what I said about the commentary team needing to shake up, since I want Cole gone, I mean, I know it's not going to happen, but Mauro Ranallo would be fucking fantastic to hear every Monday, especially with the new talent. He just gels so well with the new talent that's out there with his commentary. It just fits. Michael Cole does not fit with the likes of Aleister Blacks and the Ricochets and the War Raiders and just, you know, all the other NXT that's eventually going to come up and is already there. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I just noticed I'm already fucking 20 minutes in, and I'm not even two full segments into this show, and I only got an hour to record. So Jesus Christ. Like I said, this match was decent. Almost does some crazy cartwheel into like a corkscrew backflip kick. It looked cool. It was a bit much, but, you know, it was better than Finn Balor's 15 sling blades every fucking match. Almost then goes for a top rope moonsault. He lands on his feet, and then he goes for a standing moonsault coming right out of that, but Balor gets the knees up. Goes for the coup de grace. He misses. Almost hits a wicked back elbow. Goes for the hammerlock DDT. It's countered. Almost is eventually sent to the outside. Vega steps on the apron. Balor leaps over her and does like a suicide plancha to the outside onto Almas. Throws Almas back in the ring. The referee, for some reason, turns his attention away from Finn Balor and just looks at Almas get thrown in the ring. And then Zelina Vega jumps from the apron, does a hurricanrana, sends Finn into the barricade. Finn then goes back into the ring, gets hit with the hammerlock DDT, and Almas actually wins his Raw debut match, which I was honestly a little bit shocked about. I honestly thought they were going to probably make him lose in his debut match, because, you know, it's Monday Night Raw and Vince McMahon. So, but, you know, can we please now make the guy feel different and, you know, not start treating him like shit by June? Can we just give him a little push and have him mean something to the show? You know, is that too much to ask for? Probably. Anyway, Elias is out next. Says his music is so powerful that it brought back the Doctor of Thugonomics and the Undertaker back. He then makes a comment about the Canadians not being good enough to make the playoffs, and then it turns into like Seattle all over again, where the crowd's just shitting all over him for about 2 or 3 minutes. Of course, he's interrupted, and this time it's by Mysterio. Did nothing for me. The crowd didn't really pop that much for it. I like Mysterio. You know, I just don't like Raw and its booking, and, you know, anybody that goes to Raw, it's hard to get excited about because I just know what Raw brings, and Raw has not brought any excitement in years. So when I see people go to Raw, it's kind of a downer for me until they can prove that they can make people feel special. So we'll see what happens. This is then interrupted by Lars Sullivan. Comes out. Mysterio gets quite a bit of offense off for about a minute or two. But then he's met with a freak accident and is just completely demolished. Then he gets a running power bomb, and that's about it. Like I said, he got the most offense on Lars Sullivan that we've seen in his 3 attacks so far. But I mean, it really didn't do anything for me. I'm not excited that much about Lars Sullivan. Still haven't seen what they're going to do with his entrance, because he had a pretty cool entrance where he would get in the ring and the light would be positioned perfectly where you would just almost see like only a silhouette of the guy. But they'll probably ruin that somehow, believe me. Or they'll add something to it that doesn't need to be there. So, we move on from this, because this was just fucking unexciting. We then get a quick commercial that I wrote down in here. And it has nothing to do with the show, but it was just a commercial for like today's replicas. And in the beginning, they show all the gorgeous belts of the past. You know, the Attitude Era Winged Eagle, the fucking Winged Eagle that Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels used to hold. You know, the IC belt that's still being used today. And a few other belts. And it just reminds you of just how great those belts were. And then they show today's replicas where every belt just looks the same with different colored straps. I mean, seriously, please, really, don't do this anymore. Don't remind us of how ugly today's belts are and compare them to the belts of the past, because they all look the same. You can't even tell which one's fucking different. Seriously. The WWE, the Universal, and the 2 women's single belts look exactly the fucking same. They just have different colors. It's fucking lame. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Come back, we got Gable and Rude. They're cutting a promo, and they say that when they're on their game, they can't be beat by any team. So they pretty much open an issue challenge. I already knew the Usos were coming out. That's why they lost the belts on SmackDown. It's about as predictable as can be, but it was a good predictable. Because I like the Usos, and I'm praying to God that somehow the Usos, as good as they are, can bring some spotlight back to tag team wrestling on Raw, because we haven't had that in years, in my opinion anyway. And, I mean, I'd still much rather have the tag team divisions merged and just have one set of tag titles, so we don't get teams like Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins holding them. But, you know, that's probably too much to ask for. But the lack of teams for both shows is just It's blatant. It's easy to see. Anybody with two eyes can see the lack of teams. That's why you got teams like Ricochet and Aleister Black, which are not needed, but they have to pair together because they have no tag teams to fill out both shows. They would if they just merged the fucking divisions. They'd have enough tag teams to create an actual competitive division, but what the fuck do I know? Anyway, I just hope that the Usos win the tag team championships on Raw quickly so they can just start being able to be elevated to some kind of, prominence, some kind of relevance. Because I'm not gonna lie, when the Usos are the tag champions, even when the tag divisions are awful, they're so good that they make the titles feel prestigious and like they're worth something. That's just how good they are. And now kudos to them for being able to do that, because it's not easy to be able to make titles prestigious in a fucking division that's god awful. The one problem that can occur with the Usos being on Raw is if Roman Reigns remains on Raw, which I expect that he will, because it's fucking Vince McMahon and his hard on for Roman Reigns. And I'm afraid that they're going to eventually start putting Roman Reigns with the Usos in some fashion, just so Reigns, again, can be shielded by another team's popularity in the Usos. Because back in the day when they had Reigns and the Usos together, and they were going up against Styles and the Club, the Usos were not over like they are now. They were very bland and boring, and the crowd hated them for all the wrong reasons. Now the crowd loves them, and I feel like they're going to eventually try and pair them with Reigns just so Reigns can start getting a reaction again, because I don't know if you guys saw it tonight, but Reigns, when he came out, my god, like zero fucking reaction. Anyway, moving on here, nothing really much of this match. Usos hit a double splash and make relatively quick work of Rude and Gable. I think the match was all of like 4 minutes. This bleeds into a highlight package of Reigns and McIntyre at Mania. I don't know why. This match meant nothing at Mania, and it was one of the worst ones on the card. But we got a little highlight package anyway. Moving on, we got probably my favorite segment of the night. A moment for a piss, which is exactly what I did, because as soon as I seen her come out, I said, I'm going to go take a piss. Her guest was Sami Zayn. He comes out to a pretty damn good reaction, like always. They're in Montreal. He dances around on stage like a clown, like he always does. It was funny as hell. He sits down. The crowd was singing a song, obviously, when he came out. He sits down, and they just randomly start playing Sami Zayn's music again for a second time. He takes a bow, soaks in the moment, and while we're on this topic of crowd reactions, I don't know why we can't do more shows and type in places like, in arenas like this, or places like this, like Canada or New York or fucking Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Chicago. More shows 80% of their shows need to be in these fucking areas. I'm sorry, we don't need to go to Kentucky anymore, where fucking crickets for no matter who comes. Stone Cold can come back and be 32 years old again in his prime, and people would be fucking crickets in Kentucky. Seriously, can we not go places like that anymore? Can we stick to more places like this where the fucking fans are actually into it, regardless of how shit it is? Because when the crowd is dead, the show's dead. No matter how good the show can be, if the crowd is dead, the show is dead. And if you don't believe me, just try to watch a show where the crowd is dead. You end up falling asleep. And then watch a show that could be mediocre, but the crowd is fucking lively, and you're just kind of fucking into it the whole time. Anyway, I totally fucking forgot what the hell I was talking about. So Sami Zayn, he sits down. They play his music for now a third time. He starts dancing even more insanely all over the fucking place. The crowd is even fucking louder, singing along with his song. He starts running down the ramp. He comes back up. Then he starts getting an Olay chant started. He's getting the crowd all riled up and shit. The fucking crowd is absolutely going bonkers at this point. And I can just sense him turning on them before the segment ends. I can just feel it coming. Which is exactly pretty much what does happen. Is he starts talking about his week in Montreal and all the things he did and how great the city is. He says the city's great, but the people basically suck. I saw it coming. I don't mind it. He's a heel, but after all. The fans then start chanting something, I guess, in French. I don't understand what the hell they were saying, but apparently it was derogatory towards Sami Zayn, obviously. He then says the fans like to project their failures on him, and he just won't accept it. And then he says that we aren't fans because we're too busy being critics, and it's absolutely disgusting. He says he left Montreal to live in Orlando, and right now he's going to leave again, and as he leaves, they sing Na Na Na, goodbye to Sami Zayn. And that was the end of that. It was a very entertaining segment. The crowd was, like I said, the crowd was into it. It made the whole fucking segment. Sami Zayn is fucking nuts. So we'll see where it goes, you know. I was mad at Sami Zayn, well, not really mad at him, but I was mad at the promo he cut last week, but I don't know. We'll see where it goes from here. I mean, if he keeps going with it and he keeps getting the heat that he's getting, then it could be something special, but we'll see what's going on with that. Speaking of something that's not special, we get the IKonics next. They're shown in an earlier backstage segment with Bayley. They mentioned that Sasha isn't there, and Bayley says, keep Sasha's name out of your mouths, blah, blah, blah. And we all know the whole story already with Sasha Banks and how she's not coming back to work, you know, anytime soon. Yeah, I really don't blame her, but that's another story for another day. So instead of Sasha and Bayley, we get Bayley and Naomi as her partner, and they take on the IKonics. The commentary team actually mentions the whole Sasha Banks stuff in her tweets, which was kind of shocking, and how she took her ball and went home. One thing about this match is Peyton Royce, I think, looks like she upgraded her ring gear. That actually looks kind of cool. That was a nice change for her, but I still don't care about the IKonics. And then by the time I'm even able to type what I'm writing here in my notes, the match was over. Naomi and Bayley win in about 2 minutes. So, your tag champions were literally just squashed. So yeah, but they really shouldn't even be champions, so I'm really not even mad because they suck. It is what it is. We're then given another video package from Mania, from the main event. You know, WrestleMania is over. I mean, can we just move on? Are we just going to fucking just keep reminiscing about WrestleMania and its mediocrity that it was? Because it really wasn't that good of a show. Especially the main event, you know, don't even get me fucking started on it. But they show the clips of it, and they show the roll-up that's on Ronda Rousey. And of course, when they're showing the roll-up, the screen goes black, so you only hear the 3 count. You don't actually see it taking place on screen because it was so botched. But it is what it is. It wasn't necessary to show us, but we got it anyway. Who cares? We then get what looks like, obviously, to be a Bray Wyatt tease. The same one that we've been getting for the last 2 weeks. This is followed by a random EC3 versus Strowman match. EC3 at this point should just be asking for his release, along with some of the others who have done the same. He's absolutely just demolished here. The match starts. Strowman just runs through him like it's nothing. He cuts through him like fucking like a hot knife through butter. What do you want me to tell you? EC3 tries to run away to no avail. He's then chokeslammed through the stage. Who cares? Before Braun Strowman can even get off the stage, Becky Lynch just randomly comes out. And then hearing Cole, as she comes out, say, hey, look, it's Becky 2 belts. That right there just shows you how right I am that Michael Cole is out of place and needs to get off the commentary team. He doesn't do it anymore. It's 2019. It's time to move on. He's so cringe. And it might not all be his fault, but at this point, I don't care. I just don't want to hear his voice anymore. I've heard it since fucking, 1999. I've been hearing Michael Cole's voice, and it's not that great. Go away, please. Anyway, we got Lynch versus Ruby Riott. Ruby actually got an entrance, surprisingly. I would have thought she would have got a jobber's commercial entrance. Nothing in this match of any importance, really. There was one part that pissed me off where Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan pull Riott out as she's being put in the disarmer by Becky Lynch. Referee sees it, blatant, he's looking right at it, doesn't call for the bell. It should be a blatant disqualification. It's interference in the match. Doesn't call for the bell. Instead, Riott gets right back into the ring, and then it's just instantly put right back into the disarmer anyway, and then she taps out. So, I don't know what the fuck the point of this was. Morgan and Logan then storm the ring. They get suplexed each, and the Riott Squad is again booked to look like garbage talent. And you can't change my mind on that, because every week they are just booked to lose. I can't even remember the last time the fucking Riott Squad won a match. I honestly can't. We're then treated, if you can say that, to an interview with Corbin McIntyre and Trashley in the back. I don't know why these guys are teaming up, man. McIntyre just had any momentum he had from just a couple weeks ago where he was beating Rollins and beating Ambrose and kicking Roman Reigns' ass every week. All of that momentum is gone. It is fucking gone. It does not exist anymore. The only thing I hope for him is, I'll get into when we get to the main event, where I hope they go with McIntyre from here. It's the only thing that I think can probably save this guy from becoming completely irrelevant to the point where there's just nothing left for him to get to any higher than where he is. So they haven't, like I said, they had a promo. I didn't listen to any of it. I didn't care. Moving on, we got Natalya out next, and when she comes out, Becky Lynch is still in the ring, and Natalya, by the way, is from Canada. She comes out in front of a Canadian crowd to no reaction. Because Natalya is so great. She's a good wrestler, don't get me wrong, but her like character and personality is just fucking boring. Anyway, she comes out, congratulates Becky on her win at WrestleMania, her win tonight, blah blah blah. She then just out of nowhere pretty much steals Bret Hart's line and says she's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And you can audibly hear boos coming from the crowd because she's obviously not. She's good, like I said, but far from the best. And it's pretty cheap to just steal Bret Hart's line instead of just coming up with something original. Becky then says her and Natty pretty much traveled for years as teenagers. I don't know if she meant together. Obviously not, but it made it sound like that. But traveled the years as teenagers, just hoping to get their foot in the door in WWE. And then she says, look where they are now. And then she's pretty much going to say she's honored to have a match with Natalya, but that's interrupted by Lacey Evans, who finally speaks her first words. Says she knows how to use her, basically, sexuality and lady parts to get what she wants. That's basically what the fuck she was saying. She did this little sexual, fucking seduction thing she did or on stage. What else am I supposed to think? That's exactly what she meant. What the fuck else are you supposed to mean by that? She then comes out and says some bullshit. It wasn't a terrible promo, but it wasn't anything that wowed me or anything. It was just, it was a promo by fucking Lacey Evans. The best part was just her at the end where she says some shit like, pretty much referring to Becky Lynch being the man. She said even a lady can, I don't know what the fuck she said. I have it written in here somewhere. Hold on. No, she says even a lady can teach a man a lesson, referring to Becky Lynch as the man. Who cares? We then get this impromptu match, apparently, which is Natalya versus Lacey Evans for the #1 contendership for the women's title. I don't understand why this woman's first match is a #1 contenders match, while women like Ruby Riott are just buried week after week after week. It's disgusting, but this match was very cookie cutter. It did nothing for me. It really was nothing of importance. Lacey Evans hits her women's right or whatever. Gets absolutely no reaction. The crowd was dead for this entire thing. She does then hit her, I guess this is her finisher. She does like a springboard where she's standing on the second rope. She then hops up to the top rope while turning around to do a springboard moonsault. It looked really nice, I'm not gonna lie. And she beats Natalya. And I don't know. I mean, at least that stupid punch isn't her actual finisher, at least for now. But as far as Lacey Evans goes, I can honestly see WWE being stupid enough to have Lacey Evans go over on Becky Lynch in her first title defense. I really can. It better not happen, but I can definitely see it happening. It better not. That's all I gotta say. What do we got next? We then got Caruso in the back. She's trying to get a word with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins to see who their partner is, as if they're actually going to say who it is. Reigns then says, you're going to have to wait like everybody else. The door behind them then just randomly opens up, and it looks like you see the third person, where, I was thinking in my head, if this is the third person, then it's obviously somebody who's shorter than Rollins by like a few inches, because it was blatant, you could see the top of their head. I don't know if that was supposed to happen, and I'm not sure if that was their third partner at the moment, but it was kind of weird nonetheless. We come back from commercial to something else I actually thoroughly enjoyed, which was just a little vignette tease for Bray Wyatt. It was like this creepy layout. You see like a dollhouse, and you see a bunch of like small creepy looking dolls, and you see this bigger looking creepy doll that's just sitting on a rocking chair. It's laughing. I guess it's kind of symbolizing maybe Sister Abigail. Maybe they're finally going to debut that character when he comes back. I don't know. I hope so. I'm excited to see Bray Wyatt come back, because I thought he was a fucking great character. I mean, WWE needs some fucking characters. There's like no characters on these TV shows. That's why it's so boring. Everybody's just... They're just them. They're just Seth Rollins, or they're just Roman Reigns. It's like their characters are fucking boring. Like, I'm not saying that nobody can be like that, but like, there's no unique characters really. Everybody's like I said before, everybody's the same. All the promos feel the same for the most part, and everybody just feels the same. It's fucking boring. So to see Bray Wyatt come back, I'm excited about it. I really like this little vignette. I thought it was pretty creepy. It looked really cool. So we'll see what he does as far as return goes. We then get to our main event. which is a 6-man tag. You know, I mean, seriously, how many tag matches are we just seriously going to see week to week? I mentioned this before. Seriously, it's very lazy. It's not creative. And it's just enough with the tag team matches, please. Anyway, Roman Reigns comes out, and during his entrance, I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but I certainly have, his reactions are getting quieter and quieter as the weeks go on. And this is honestly worse than him getting booed. Yeah, he's getting like literally zero reaction when his theme song hits. It's just like, oh, here comes Roman Reigns. Nobody cares. Everybody just kind of sits there like, who cares? It's like, it's not even worth to boo him anymore. He's so fucking boring. And maybe people are finally realizing how boring his character truly is. I don't know. I hope so. Rollins then comes out. He gets a nice reaction, obviously. I guess it's just nice to finally see a world champ on Raw every week compared to what we were getting. Though, I will say, I still firmly believe that we do not need to see every single person on every show every week. We really don't. If you want to give some guys here and there a week off, I think it would be really good so you don't overexpose them. And then if you really do need them for the live crowd, I mean, you can always have them work a dark match, if that's even still a thing. I don't know if dark matches are still a thing. But if they are, then, you know, have them do that. Have them do something when the cameras are not rolling. But we don't need to have them on every show every week. I mean, giving some guys a week off here and there is not only good so you don't overexpose them, but it's good for their health. They get a week's off to rest. You know, they're on the road so many days. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. You can build a show around the rest of the talent, maybe spotlight some guys who don't get spotlighted as much. Anyway, moving on. We get to find out finally who the third person is on their team. And obviously, I already knew it was going to be this person. It was AJ Styles, who Vince McMahon has been fucking trying to get on Monday Night Raw for like the longest time. So, you know, we'll see where it goes from there. I mean, I will say this, AJ Styles with his beard trimmed down the way it was, he looks kind of weird. I'm just not used to seeing it, so at first I didn't even know if it was him. I was like, is that even AJ Styles? But it was him. So I don't know what this means exactly as far as who's going to SmackDown. Does that mean that Reigns is going to SmackDown, or are they going to switch the world titles where the Universal title's on SmackDown and the WWE Championship's on Raw? I mean, if that's the case, then the Universal title's going to need a fucking strap color change because you can't have a red belt on a blue show. So, but, you know, I honestly, that's probably where they're going to go with it. I don't really know, but this is kind of where I hope, what I was saying earlier with Drew McIntyre, I kind of hope he's one of the guys that goes to SmackDown and he can be one of the focal, he can be like the top heel over there with Daniel Bryan, if Daniel Bryan doesn't eventually come over to Raw, which I don't think he is, obviously, because we didn't see him tonight, but you still never know with this company. I mean, they don't even know who the fuck's on what shows, and we had Raw tonight, so. But yeah, I'd like to see Drew McIntyre go to SmackDown, and because at this point, if he doesn't go to SmackDown, him being on Raw with the likes of AJ Styles and possibly Roman Reigns, forget about it. He's going to fucking drown in a sea of sharks. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm assuming that Reigns or Rollins is definitely going to SmackDown tomorrow, but we'll find out tomorrow. As far as Styles being on Raw, I don't know. I mean, it's exciting because, you know, it's a fresh look for AJ Styles and see if he can make Raw feel special. But at the same time, like I said, Monday Night Raw has a habit of making people not feel special, even when they did feel special. Like, remember when The Miz first was on SmackDown and then he went to Raw the first time? How awful The Miz was on Raw compared to what he was on SmackDown when he was just absolutely killing it with guys like Dolph Ziggler? Yeah, I remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Anyway, as far as this match goes, I mean, I didn't really care about it. You know, even with the inclusion of AJ Styles, I mean, yeah, it's his first match there, but, you know, I thought he was actually injured. I heard he was injured at Mania in his match with Orton, but I guess apparently he's all right to go. I mean, he wasn't all that active in this match, but he was active enough to pull off a few moves. Like I said, this match was, you know, it was just your basic every week 6-man tag. You know, it's hard to get invested in it. The match ends with a curb stomp, a spear, and then a phenomenal forearm to Trashley, and that was it. And Trashley gets pinned. But right before that actually happened, Lashley was pinning Styles, and the referee was horribly out of position. I don't even think he can see one shoulder, never mind both shoulders. And the whole time Styles was getting pinned by Lashley, his left shoulder was up the entire time, and the referee was just counting anyway, which then led obviously to Rollins coming out of nowhere and hitting the curb stomp. But little shit like that, just, it looks really bad. It looks really bad on just to the audience. It makes the referee look stupid. It makes the talent look stupid. I don't like when shit like that happens. He was so out of position. It was disgusting. There's no way he's seen both shoulders. Never. I don't even think he's seen one shoulder. He was just counting just because the spot was for Rollins to come in and hit a curb stomp. But that's how Raw ends. What do you want me to tell you, man? Raw ends with Styles, Rollins, and Reigns winning. Did you expect anything different? I know I didn't. Did you think this was a good Raw? Because I know I didn't. I thought this Raw was very below par, as usual. So we get 2 Raws in a row that are supposed to feel special. We get the Raw after Mania last week, which was god-awful. And then we get this week the Superstar Shakeup, which was no better. But what was exciting on the most exciting thing, honestly, was Bray Wyatt's vignettes. And Sami Zayn with Alexa Bliss. You know, fucking with the crowd. That was it. Everything else in the show was just, who cares? Seriously, who cares? Are they going to do anything exciting going forward with the new roster they have on Raw? I doubt it. They have to prove it to me. They haven't proved anything in years. So I'm going to continue to just hammer on them until they change my mind. Show me that you can book a show that's something people can get invested in, because it's hard to get invested in Monday Night Raw. And it's getting harder week in and week out to continue to watch it. If it wasn't for me doing these reviews that I enjoy doing, I probably wouldn't watch Raw. I honestly would not. If I didn't make these videos, I would not watch Raw. And if I did, it would be me fast forwarding literally through everything. Or watching the highlights on YouTube, one or the other. If I had to give this show a rating, 4.5 out of 10. Honestly, that's all it's going to get from me, man. And as far as last week's show goes, being that, especially because it was the Raw after Mania, since I didn't give it a rating last week, it was like a 2 out of 10. The worst Raw after Mania you'll probably ever see. So a 2 out of 10 last week. If it was just a normal Raw, probably would have got like a 3 or 4. But since it was the Raw after Mania and it's hyped up to be a good show, and it wasn't, 2 out of 10 this week, 4.5 out of 10. You know, nothing on this show did anything for anybody. So, that's it. There's nothing really much else to say, man. If you guys feel like I'm wrong, please explain yourself in the comments, and I'd be more than welcome to take a listen. But make sure you come with logic. Don't just come with bullshit about WWE making tons of money. Don't come with me with that awful fucking verbiage. I don't want to hear nothing about how much money they make. I don't care. That has nothing to do with the product that we see on television. And if you like this video and you think that I speak logic and I point out the flaws that WWE has on a weekly basis that a lot of other people won't call out because they're afraid to, because they think they're going to get a job with WWE somewhere down the road, then hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, because every little bit helps. Leave a comment, like I said. And yeah, man, that's all I got for you today. And hopefully, I've been slacking a little bit on the SmackDown reviews, and I never was able to make my WrestleMania reviews because my voice was just so hoarse, man. I couldn't handle doing a 2-hour show with everything I had going on between work and this, that, and the other thing. But I'm really trying my best to, you know, do all of these shows. So, like I said, that's all I got. And yeah, man, hopefully I will make a review tomorrow night, and I'll see you guys for SmackDown Live. Have a good night, guys.